This happened on New Year's night, back when I was still dating my ex, Rachel. We were driving home from a party when everything suddenly fell apart. It had to be well past midnight. I remember feeling completely exhausted. And yeah, I know driving on New Year's night is never a great idea, but we didn't really have a choice. The party was at one of Rachel's friends' places, and since we showed up at the last moment, there was nowhere for us to crash for the night. The drive itself wasn't short, almost 2 hours or so, give or take. The roads were almost completely empty, which I was honestly thankful for. It had snowed earlier that evening, and the pavement was slick and icy. The last thing I wanted was traffic on top of that. Rachel was barely awake in the passenger seat. I had the heater blasting and some random rock playlist playing, just to keep myself alert. You know the feeling. We were maybe 10 minutes from her place when it happened. I still struggle to explain what I saw. One moment, the road ahead was completely clear. The next, there was a woman standing right in the middle of the street. She wasn't crossing. She wasn't moving. She was just standing there, facing my car, like she had been waiting for us. My brain couldn't keep up with what my eyes were seeing. I was already slamming on the brakes before I fully understood what was in front of me. Then I noticed the knife in her hand. It hung at her side, a huge kitchen knife, the kind you'd use to carve a turkey. My headlights hit her straight on, and I could see her face clearly. It was twisted and contorted, like she was crying, or screaming, or maybe doing both at once. It made my stomach turn. I don't think I've ever reacted faster. I jerked the steering wheel hard to the right to avoid hitting her. The moment I did, she lunged toward the car. I heard the impact before my mind could make sense of it. Even with everything happening so fast, I knew exactly what had happened. As I passed her, she swung the knife at my car. I missed her, but between the sudden swerve and the ice, it was too much. The tires lost all traction, and the car started spinning. Rachel woke up instantly and began panicking. I was gripping the steering wheel like it could somehow save us, but I had zero control. The car spun a full 180 and finally came to a stop facing the opposite direction. After the initial shock of almost dying wore off, I looked up through the windshield and felt my stomach drop. We were now facing the way we had come, which meant we were facing her. She was about several yards away, still clutching the knife, lit up by my headlights like something straight out of a horror movie. She was limping toward us, trying to move quickly, but it was obvious she was hurt. She was screaming too, but it wasn't words. Just this deep, guttural noise that sounded more animal than human. It was, and probably always will be, the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. I remember Rachel screaming at me to do something, anything, but I couldn't move. I couldn't take my eyes off the woman stumbling toward us. Her clothes were filthy and torn, and her hair was tangled and wild. I don't know if she was on drugs, having some kind of mental break, or something else entirely. There was nothing in her eyes, no awareness, no humanity. She looked like a corpse that had somehow learned how to walk. When she got within maybe very close, my survival instincts finally kicked in. I slammed the car into drive and floored it. The tires spun uselessly on the ice for a terrifying moment before finally catching, and the car lurched forward. I honestly thought we were in the clear. I really believed it was over. But of course, I was wrong. I still don't understand how she moved that fast. One moment she was in front of the car, and the next she was on it. She hurled herself onto the hood, and the impact made the entire car shake. Rachel was screaming. I was swearing. And this woman was gripping the hood with one hand while repeatedly driving the knife into the windshield with the other, over and over again. It felt like she was trying to break her way inside and kill me. I was certain I was about to die. My mind went completely blank. I couldn't think or see clearly. I just started yanking the steering wheel back and forth as hard as I could. She slid across the hood with each sharp turn, but she refused to let go. That awful, wordless scream never stopped. Her face was inches from the glass, and I swear her eyes were locked onto mine the entire time. On the third or fourth violent swerve, she finally lost her grip. I watched her tumble off the side of the hood, slam into the pavement, and slide toward the shoulder of the road. The car fishtailed again, but this time I managed to regain control. I glanced in the rearview mirror and saw her lying there. She wasn't moving. A part of me wanted to stop. I know that sounds insane after what had just happened, but I thought maybe I'd killed her. Maybe she was just someone who was mentally unwell and needed help, and I had just ended her life. Rachel grabbed my arm and told me not to stop. She was shaking and kept saying we had to leave, that it wasn't our problem, that we couldn't get involved. I said we should at least call the police, but she shut that idea down immediately. She said the cops would blame us since we'd been drinking. She insisted they'd never believe our story. She told me we'd get arrested or worse. Looking back now, none of it really made sense. But in that moment, Rachel had a way of making everything feel both urgent and logical. That was always how she was. Convincing, persuasive, honestly, sometimes borderline manipulative. I left that woman on the side of the road, drove Rachel home, and never told anyone. Even now, thinking about it makes me feel sick. The damage to my car wasn't even that severe. Just a shattered windshield, deep knife marks on the driver's side window, and a few long scratches across the hood. Strangely enough, there wasn't any blood on the car at all. I got it repaired about a week later, but the guilt stayed with me for a long time. I kept checking the local news, waiting to see something. A body found on that road, a missing woman, anything. But nothing ever showed up. I still don't know if that made me feel better or worse. Part of me wonders if she got back up after we left and disappeared into the woods or something. Another part of me doesn't want to know. What really messed with my head, though, was Rachel. She acted like nothing had ever happened. Within a couple of days, she was completely back to normal, making plans, hanging out with friends, living her life. I brought it up once, and she got irritated with me. She told me I was being dramatic and that we did what we had to do. I remember just staring at her, thinking how someone could be so cold about it. A woman tried to kill us. We might have killed her, and she was willing to forget it all like it meant nothing. We broke up several months later for reasons that were mostly unrelated. Mostly. I'd be lying if I said that night didn't change the way I saw her. Maybe I'm the crazy one, but something like that isn't easy to forget. It's not something you just move on from in a couple of days. I might have taken someone's life that night, and that deranged woman might have taken mine. That's not something you can simply forget.